Welcome back, everyone. It's been a long time coming, but we are back with another Transfer Portal podcast preview. Week one, I got my boy Brian here. Brian, I feel like it's been a minute. How have you
Yeah,
been,
man.
brother?
It's been a long time, not just for college football and for us too. It's very, very long off season. Very uh we didn't know what was gonna go down, but well here we are. We're back. So I'm happy to be back, ready to talk some ball and let's get to it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, it's only right. We are the Transfer Portal CFB, not affiliated with the actual Transfer Portal, but it's only right that we start out with some. I don't know if it's breaking news, but there was a proposal about moving the transfer portal window. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that. So it would open the Monday after the conference championship games and then would close in early January. So I think right now the old proposal um, is December 9th or it's like after the conference championships and before the bowl games. And then so sometimes when people get going to the transfer portal, they can't participate in their bowl games. I saw that was a
Yeah.
couple of issues that happened. So now it closes in early January. Um, so it kind of tightens it up a little bit, So a lot of players might not be able to jump in the portal as easy as they used to be.
Yeah. And the key thing I thought was I wonder if players will be able to play if they enter the
Yeah.
portal, because that was a big thing last year, like you said. But this year, I think the national championship is late January, right?
Yes,
January
it's
20th.
January 20th. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder if the getting rid of that second window for everybody that hasn't heard, they're getting rid of the spring transfer window was the proposal and only having one transfer window, which is from December 9th to January 7th. If players are able to still play in their bowl games, then I don't hate the idea, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you get rid of the spring window, is that post like if it's post spring practice, then those players that because there's usually two kind of exoduses
Mm-hmm.
that happens right after the season, right after the conference championship games, before the bowl games start, and then right after spring ball. So there's guys who maybe get passed up in the spring, or maybe they have that opportunity. A quarterback maybe who doesn't get the reps he wants after in the spring. He thought he was going to start. He doesn't start anymore. He transfers out after spring ball. So if that's gone, so yeah, that's interesting. These if you have players who maybe did not transfer. They went to the spring thinking that they were going to be playing a lot of games, or they were going to be starting, and they don't after the spring. They can't transfer at that point.
Yeah, this thing, it to me, when I first read it, I think, okay, this has the coaches all over. Because if I was a coach, right, I wouldn't want to go into the spring and the summer having to hold my players' hands, thinking, "Oh, I gotta make sure he gets this many first team reps, or he's gonna transfer. Oh, I gotta make sure that people have guys calling you about NIL deals, or I'm gonna transfer all that stuff." So for the coaches, I think this is a huge win for them because after January 7th, your rosters are locked in. You don't have to deal with all the politics of NIL and the transfer portal because you can't leave pretty much.
Yeah,
For the player side, I can see there being a lot of pushback for the opposite reason. We all know coaches can lie, right? They
hmm
can promise you one thing, and then when February or March comes around, all of a sudden it's something different. Things change, and they kind of stuck there. So in a way, it kind of feels like we're going backwards. I guess
yeah,
that with players' flexibility and having them having control over their future. So I don't like that, but I do think two windows was a little much.
yeah, yeah. And I'm all for players. Getting players are the stars of the show, whether it's
Yes.
college, whether it's professional, whatever the case is. The players are the stars. They should have you know, a lot of liberties and a lot of freedoms, but at the same time, I think we've opened the floodgates, right? So now
It's gotten crazy.
it's every time something happens, every time there's this new thing, it kind of just it kind of blows over, and then you kind of overcorrect a little bit. You kind of steer back into the lane. And I think that's kind of what we're doing. We're saying like we're giving the we're they're giving they gave the players, they opened the door for the players. They kind of kicked the door open and started rushing in, and then you're like, oh, whoa, whoa, let's kind of just settle down a little bit. Let's kind of rate it in. So I don't think this will be the last time it gets moved. And NIL and transfer portal and all that. It's all moving. It's a lot of new. It's new. There's a lot of moving parts. I think there'll be a lot of changes happening over the next few years. So I don't think it's the end of it yet. So they're gonna tinker with it until they perfect it so that the players are happy, the coaches are happy, the institutions are happy. Because like you mentioned, I think it was Kirby Smart that said it, that they have to recruit their own players as well as high
Mhm.
school athletes as well. And you have to re-recruit your own players at all times, and it's hard to do that. It's hard to do, and you can't keep up with everything, and continue to running a successful program. So, um, yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't suspect it'll be the last time something like that, any changes are made or anything like that happens with the transfer portal or NIL. But it's definitely interesting. We'll see what happens. This year is a lot of
A lot of new.
changes, a lot of new. So we're gonna have to see what happens, and it's exciting. It's scary, but I'm excited to see how it all pans out.
Yeah, I'm interested to see too. This isn't set in stone yet, but this is the current proposal that they are deciding on. It sounds like it's gonna pass, but things change. You never know what will happen. But moving forward, we did get some news that is set in stone, kind of. Michigan has been hit with some actual NCAA, not sanctions yet, but they haven't noticed that sanctions are on the way. And for those who may think that I thought they got suspended last year when Jim Harbaugh was gone for, was it 4 games? That was the Big Ten suspension of Michigan. That was their punishment. Now it's the NCAA. They've, I guess, wrapped up their investigation, and we will see what happens with Michigan. What do you think is going to happen there?
So it's very convenient how it came out like the day before the Connor Stalions documentary is set to come
Yeah,
out, which I haven't seen yet. I haven't seen yet. I'm excited to take a look at that and to watch that, here in the next couple of days. But it's pretty interesting the timing of all that. Look, to me, the what I don't know what they're gonna do at this point. I don't know what they can do to kind of like the big play. I mean, all the players are most of the players are gone. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh's gone. Um, they already got the trophy. They already got the rings. So I don't know what you can do. It's kind of like the Reggie Bush thing. I know it's not the same, but like you took away his Heisman Trophy they took away Reggie Bush's Heisman Trophy. Like we all watched, that season play out, right? Like you can't when colleges or when the NCAA takes strips wins away. We've seen this happen plenty of times when they strip wins away, when they strip trophies away. It's kind of like a false punishment because we all saw that happen. Like we all saw the games. No, for the end of if they take away this championship, they don't just give it to Washington. I mean, you can't go back and replay those games and say, oh, now no now Florida State is gonna we're gonna redo the playoff and put Florida State instead of Michigan. Are we gonna redo the playoff and put Georgia instead of Michigan? Like you can't do that. So essentially, it's just an empty. I think it's an empty penalty if they were to do something like that. So I don't really think anything that they do, I don't really think it matters much at this point. With It's a new team. Uh, like I said, Jim Harbaugh's gone. Uh, JJ McCarthy's gone. Not to say that they had anything to do with it, but all the big players, all the big name guys from last year. I mean, Sharon Moster there, he's still there, but I mean, he's his first year head coach. If they were to suspend him, or I don't really think it moves the needle that much anyway. It's a
do you
new
do you think
yeah.
they take
So
scholarships away?
I could see that. Yeah, see, yeah, I could see that. I could see that too. Take scholarships
Or
away.
maybe like a 1 year postseason ban, which I don't know if that would hurt Michigan that much because they're kind of in a transition year, anyways. But
Yeah,
that might
yeah.
be. I mean, it could happen. I'm not sure.
I think the what would hurt them the most would be, you know, a scholarship penalty, take away some scholarships. You know, that I think that usually when those things happen, the teams are kind of down for a few years. These programs, it kind of takes them a little bit to recover. You know, I'm not saying they should get like the SMU death penalty or anything like that, but they still haven't recovered. They barely uh, finally found themselves back into a power conference. But either way, I don't know. I don't know what they can do. The scholarship, you know, that I think that might be something that, but that happens for recruiting violations. You know, it's kind of like a slap in the wrist almost sometimes when they give take away scholarships. So I don't know. I don't know what they can do that'll justify it. You know, at the end of the day, it happened. It's over. I feel like if they were going to punish Michigan, they should have done it during the season.
Yeah,
You know, to prevent them from winning the national championship, which they did. So, you know, I just don't see anything that could really hurt them. Like they already got the trophy, they already got the rings. So, you know, at this point, it's kind of just
it seems pointless almost. It's
yeah,
like you let it go on this long, and it's classic NCAA. If you ask me, I don't think that this happens if that Connor Stallions documentary doesn't drop. I think
yeah,
they knew that documentary was dropping. They probably got word that it's gonna be like it's NCAA is gonna look really bad in it because
yeah,
things are happening right under their nose, and they're like, okay, well, we gotta
we
kind
got
of
to do
save
something.
face. Well, yeah, you gotta do something. I kind of agree with you. I don't think it's gonna come to much. They might get fined or something like that. Maybe lose 5 scholarships, which isn't gonna really hurt Michigan football. It's still
Yeah,
Michigan football.
yeah. I saw. Was it? I don't know if it was a school or the NCAA that banned Jim Harbaugh from going back to the
Yeah,
school
yeah,
or
that's one thing.
for
He can go back for 5 years or something.
5 years. I'm like, okay, he's in the NFL anyway. Who cares? You know, like that doesn't do anything to them. Uh, so yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like you said, it's kind of pointless at this point. You know, and you're right. I think it does have to do with the documentary, because otherwise, I mean, what's the point? So, but whatever happens, I don't think it'll matter, you know, in the long scheme of things. So it'll just be another dark note on the NCAA's part, a little too little, too late. You know, on their end, like you said. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right, well, that's kind of the latest news going on this weekend's college football. But for the first time, well, not the first time, yeah, the games last week. But this is week one, right? We got a
Yeah,
full slate. We got blockbuster games. Let's just get right into it.
we got games happening as we
As
speak
as
right
we
now.
speak, games are
Yeah.
happening right now. So if you see me upset, I just lost some money. But let's go ahead and start with your Georgia Bulldogs going to not to Clemson. They playing Clemson in a pretty much a home game.
Yeah.
Right? Never City in Superdome. Uh, what? Give me your thoughts. How are the Dogs going to look post Brock Bowers, post Lad McConkey? What's that? What's your boys going to look like?
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest question that you mentioned is the off is you know the skill positions on offense. Obviously they have Carson Beck back, who you know by all measures looks to be one of the Heisman favorites. You know he had a very good season last year. The 3 years sitting you know um, behind Stetson Bennett really helped him, I think. And you know he came out looking ready to start, and he had a very good season. But yeah, the offense. I mean, you don't have Brock Bowers. You lose Lad McConkey, Marcus Rosemy, Jack Saint, Kendall Milton, Dejon Edwards. So you lose your top four receivers. You lose your top two running backs. Um, and then Rara Thomas, who was expected to be one of your top receivers, got kicked off the team for I think it was battery of a minor or something like that, or some crazy.
Mm,
So so he got out the team. So yeah, you know, you're bringing these new pieces. Obviously, the big one is, um, uh, oh my God, how am I blanking on his name? The running back from the transfer from Florida,
Etienne.
Travis Etienne. Yeah, Travis Etienne. Uh, So he comes in. The word is he's facing a 1 game suspension
Oh,
the
really?
arrest for an arrest uh, for a speeding arrest that he got, which is a whole nother story with Georgia football. They can't get stopped from getting arrested for driving. I don't understand it, but um, regardless of all that, Georgia's their talent is too much for Clemson, in my opinion. I don't think that it'll be much of a struggle for Georgia. Um, we have to see, Cade Klubnik for Clemson. He kind of had an up and down year last year. He showed flashes, but the talent level, I just don't think they're on the same level for Georgia and Clemson. So I don't suspect it to be a very close game. I think Georgia does pull it out pretty convincingly, but yeah, you got to be careful with these opening games because
It's
it's
tough.
everybody's. Yeah, they're tough. They're tough. So, but I just don't think Clemson has the talent to keep up with Georgia.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you. My thing with Clemson is Kate Cubner. He seems like the type that he always has this potential, right? Everybody talks about the potential he has. He has all the tools. He can do all the things, but it just never comes together, right? I do think that the helmet, the speakers in the helmet, I think that might help him a lot because having Garrett Riley in your ear, I can't think of a better OC I would want to have in my ear than Garrett
Yeah.
Riley, right? Explaining things, calming them down, stuff like that. So I'm interested to see how that helps him develop and maybe just make better decisions on the field. But yeah, I just don't see it for Clemson right now. I think their defense is gonna be fine. It's just the offense is just too many questions with Cade, and I see Georgia handling business. You're the number one team in the country. You don't lose often week one. You got to come out and make a statement. I think we're gonna see a statement from Georgia.
Yeah, the last time they played in the kickoff game at Mercedes-Benz Stadiums when they beat Oregon, I think it was like what 45-3 or something like that.
Yeah,
So, they tend to be able to be making statements early in the season. So, um, yeah, they'll be really good. And they can't last point on that. Georgia can't afford to lose this game
no,
because Georgia's schedule is brutal. Man, they have I, for being the number one team in the country, they probably have as hard a schedule as anybody in the country. So they're going to have to prove that number one ranking. They go to Texas, to Alabama, to Ole Miss, um, on the road. All not neutral site games. They're all on the road. I think they're both. I think it's the third, fourth, and fifth, or fourth, fifth, and sixth ranked teams in the country as of right now so far. So they have to win this game. They can't afford to lose this game. Luckily, with the 12-team playoff, they can lose a couple games and make it in the playoff. But this is not a game they cannot afford to lose. If they're going to lose, I don't. You can't expect them to go undefeated with that schedule. Those 3 games probably, they might lose one or two of those games. If those are the 3 games that you're not planning on losing, but looking at under a microscope to lose, you can't lose any other games besides that. Um, so yeah, if you lose to Clemson and you find yourself 9-4 or eight
yeah.
and four, there's
I don't
there's
know if
no
that
shot.
gets you in, right? Like,
That doesn't get you in. Um, so yeah, so they have to win this game, and I think they will.
yeah, I agree. I agree. It is weird that this is the first year of the 12-team playoff. We don't know it, like the protocol. We don't know how like the dynamics go. Maybe Georgia gets credit for playing a tough schedule and they can afford 3 losses. We
Yeah,
don't know that. It's
maybe.
just
Yeah,
so
we
many
don't.
moving parts, so many different teams are in play now that you don't you had the SEC bias, but I feel like you're not as safe as you
Yeah,
once were.
yeah. We learned last year. Georgia learned last year that don't leave it
Yeah.
up to somebody else. You
Hmm.
have to take care of it yourself. You can't leave it up to somebody else to put you in. They found out last year by losing to Alabama, but so yeah, so uh, yeah, they have to win this game for sure.
All right, let's stay in that region. We got Miami going to Florida to the swamp. What are we thinking about this game? For me personally, this is the game I'm looking forward to the most because I know the swamp is going to be rocking. And I feel like for Florida, their schedule is tough, right? So a lot of people are predicting them to lose a lot of these games. And I think people are confusing a tough schedule with a bad team. And I
Yeah.
don't think Florida is a bad team. I just, you not being better than 4 or 5 top 15 teams that they have to play doesn't make you a bad team. You just have a tough schedule and you're just not better than the top 10 best teams in the country. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like they've been a little bit disrespected. They don't come with a chip on their shoulder playing at home against Miami, in-state rivals. This is the game I want to see the most. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, as you can see on the helmet behind me, Florida is probably the team that I pay attention to the most outside of Georgia.
Mhm.
So, I mean, yeah, they've had a tough few years, and this is a game that they can come into and make a statement and show that they are ready to turn that corner. I think that Billy Napier is in the hottest of hot seats right now.
Yeah.
I don't know how you survive the season, without winning some of these games, and this is a chance to prove that. And you're at home, uh, 2:30 on, which is the prime time window. For college football, 2:30 ABC. SEC, the debut of SEC on ABC, and they're
Hmm.
putting them on the grandest stage against your in-state rival, who's had their trouble, you know, um, as well. And you know, the stage is laid out, the red carpet's laid out, and what are you going to do with it? And I think it comes down to Cam Ward. Cam Ward, uh, he's he's had an interesting career. Um, I was probably a Cam Ward fan, not trying to sound bragging, but so Cam Ward started at UIW, University Incarnate Word, which is a small, tiny school here in San Antonio, Texas, where I live. My wife, her last year in school was Cam Ward's first year at UIW, so I got to see him play, and yeah, I mean, he was lighting up FCS, and I was like, he's gonna. I told my wife like he's gonna transfer to Division to FBS soon. She had no idea what I was talking about, but so yeah, so I'll sit and seeing him, when he went to Washington State, he kind of had an up and down career there, but I think he's read this is the perfect system to be in with Mario Cristobal in Miami. This is his kind of coming out party too on the biggest stage. Washington State, yeah, he had some big games for Washington State, but it's nothing like playing for the University of Miami against your in-state rival. Uh, I think it's going to come down to that. Can Florida's defense stop Cam Ward and his versatility? You know, uh, with his legs and his arm. I don't know if they can do that. Um, I don't think that it's enough to stop Miami. So I don't think it might be closer than what people might think it will be. Um, I think Miami's going to pull it out though.
Yeah. With Cam Ward, my thing is I watched him a lot of Washington Wazoo, right? And a lot of times it felt like he was playing hero ball, which
Yeah,
to his credit, he had to sometimes, right? That team was overmatched in a lot of those games. And so it felt like he had to do too much. With Miami, he doesn't have to do that now. So I'm interested to see, can he kind of figure out when pick and choose when he needs to go hero mode.
yeah,
And
and the
can
talent
Mario,
that he has.
yeah, and can Mario can he let the talent do their job too? He doesn't have to do everything now like he's had to in the past. And can Mario Cristobal kind of get that balance? Because you don't want to, I guess the word I'm looking for is strangle like those type of players, right? You don't want to put them in a box. You want them to go out there and express themselves like Caleb Williams type, the
Right.
gunslingers. But at the same time, like if it's the first quarter, you don't need to do that. We can punt the ball. We can get the ball back. The game's not over.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be hot. Florida is, I think, it's gonna be a hot kickoff. Adrenaline's gonna be rushing. Conditioning, I think, is gonna be super important in this game.
Yeah.
Um, but I think I'm gonna go with the Gators.
Really,
I think I'm gonna go with the upset because of what I said. I think they come with a chip. They're at home, and I think they know they have to win this game.
they do.
This
They
the
do.
first 5 games are winnable. I think they have. I just looked it up too. They have Miami. I want to say Sanford, Mississippi State, A&M, and UCF. Not in that order, but those are their first 5 games. After that, it's brutal, right? Then you got Tennessee, you got Texas, you got LSU, Ole Miss, Kentucky. Did they start out hot? I think they can get some leeway, but if you're 2-3 in those first 5 games, somebody's getting fired.
Yeah.
People are out of jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody asked me. I was talking about this the other day and said, uh, do you think that Billy Napier is a head coach when Georgia plays Florida
Mm.
in October? I'm like, I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know. Will he be? And
What
what
percentage
kind
would
of?
you pick? Because I was thinking about that too when they played Texas. What percentage would you say that he's the head coach?
I think 65% he's not.
He's not.
And I, but I do think that this game, I don't want to say this game is he's coaching for his job, this specific game, but if they can win this game against Miami, you kind of cool the seat a little bit.
Mm.
I think the biggest thing with college football is showing the boosters, showing the administrators just a sign of life that you can win. I feel like that happened with A&M and with uh, uh,
Jimbo.
Jimbo. Yeah, so I'm blanking out today. Yeah, Jimbo Fisher. He kind of did that. He kind of with those wins against Alabama, those kind of showed him a little, give him a little life. So if he can win this game, a rivalry game at home,
The prime time games where
prime
everybo's watching, right? That's what
ex
Jimbo, I think, like you said, that's how he said, like, no, he would beat Arkansas in Jerry World. They play well against LSU. It's the
yeah,
prime
exactly.
time games that
Exactly. If he can kind of show some life against these teams, he might be there. Even if they lose, even if he loses, or even if he doesn't, they're not competing for national championship. But if he shows life and wins some of these games, then I think then that could factor into it. I will say that one thing about Cam Ward too. I just saw this right now too that he was 4-7 on the road at Washington State. Um, and the Swamp is that tougher place to play than anywhere in the country. So that'll definitely bring it be into it. But I think this game is more important for Florida than it is for Miami, uh, because, like you said, because of their schedule that they have following at the back end of the season, like you said, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas. Um, so so yeah, uh, I think that. But yeah, that's. I still think Miami
yeah.
pulls it off. I think their talent is better too. I think that it comes down to that is talent.
Yeah, I mean, talent wise, I don't think there's a question. I don't want to make it seem like this. Oh, we have a baby sighting.
What's up?
Yeah, I don't want to make it seem like that Miami isn't, like a talented. And it's not a big game for Miami too, because with Florida State losing last week, Clemson having Georgia, you can kind of make a statement saying, we're the cream of the crop in the ACC now. But it's I go with my gut here. I'm gonna go with Florida. Next up, we'll go with USC versus LSU in Las Vegas. What are we saying about that game?
Sorry, I was muted. I kind of want to see your point on this. I want you to go first on this one. See what you think, because I'm kind of I don't know yet.
Okay. I think that whoever gets this is my stat that I think to decide who wins the game. Whoever gets 3 stops first is gonna win the game. I don't know who it's gonna be. Both of these teams, their defense was abysmal last year. I think they're gonna be maybe a little bit better, but still very bad. We know they can score. Can they get a stop? And I think the first team to get 3 stops is gonna win the game. And as of right now, it could very change. I'm gonna lean towards USC because I think they have more returning talent in the skill positions. LSU has to replace two very good wide receivers. I'm not really worried about the quarterback situation for either team, but I think with USC and Lincoln Riley, I trust him with a whole offseason to prepare for LSU. So I'm going to go with USC.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I kept going back and forth. I
This one's tough.
It's a tough one. I mean, they're both kind of coming. They're kind of going into transition periods. You lose your Heisman quarterbacks for both
Mhm.
teams, and Caleb Williams and Jalen Daniels. So, um, yeah, it's very it's going to be tough. It's in Las Vegas, so you kind of get that. You're kind of that home vibe. I think for USC, I know LSU played Florida State last year in New Orleans, so it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. But yeah, man, I don't know. Lincoln Riley, it's kind of tough to go against Lincoln Riley, and I like what you said about the defenses. Hey, what's up? So I think I'm leaning on LSU. I just trust Brian Kelly more than I do Lincoln Riley. So I think I'm gonna go with LSU.
LSU. Yeah, coaching wise, I think LSU has the advantage, but I feel like USC's game plan, I think will be I think they'll have a good game plan versus LSU to kind of pick apart those holes that they might have. But yeah, I'm gonna go with USC. All right, we're gonna move on to our last premier game preview of the week. Week one is with the nightcap primetime game. Notre Dame going to Kyle Field to play the new look Texas A&M Fighting Aggies. I'll go ahead and start with this one. This because for me personally, this is a game I have no clue what's going to happen. There's so many question marks around both of these teams, but really both are on the same side of the ball. I feel like Texas A&M defense, they've been pretty good to elite for the last couple of years. I think Notre Dame's defense is fine. They have a great defensive coach and Marcus Freeman. I have no doubts about them. They get a lot of players back. Xavier Watts. The list goes on and on for both sides. But when you go to the offense, how do they look under Riley Leonard? Is he healthy? Right.
Mm.
Texas A&M new look offense. Connor Wegman, I feel like he's kind of the same as Kate Kubnik. Like you're not really sure what you're gonna get. It's kind of up and down. They just lost their number one running back, Ruben Owens. What's that offense look like without him? A lot of uncertainty. Me personally, I'm so intrigued by this one because I have no clue how either team is gonna look on offense.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of week one, right? It's like you don't know what kind of team is are you going to see, especially with these teams that have had a lot of turnover, have these transfers, these quarterbacks, like Riley Leonard. Um, so I will say Connor Wegman, he knows this system, right? He was with the Aggies last year, so he kind of I mean, a second year under a certain system, it's always beneficial for anybody, right? Especially early in the season. Um, so, he comes back from that injury he had early in the season. Despite the injury, he was still with the program, if that makes sense. So I know he's ready to come out and kind of, you know, redeem himself after that. Season end injuries are tough. Um, so so yeah. So and it's going to be as I think it's going to be similar to LSU and USC, but who can make the stops? Um, you mentioned Xavier Watts and Benjamin Morrison for A&M. Uh, probably probably one of the best or the better, you know, DB tandems in college football. So it's I don't know. You have to, Kyle Field is a tough place to play. Uh, Riley Leonard, I don't think he was at Duke, so I don't know if he's faced such a atmosphere in his career. I mean, I guess
You go to
the
Florida State.
biggest. Yeah, yeah,
I
that's
don't
true.
know.
He
I don't
did
know if he
play.
went to Florida, like if he actually played
Let me. I don't know. I
or
know. I mean, I think
afterwards.
the I know the biggest game that he played last year. One of the biggest games that he played last year was um, when they beat. Yeah, he did play Florida State. Uh, yeah. So um, yeah, they did play at Florida State, but I don't know. Is Florida State as raucous
No,
as
it's
Cal
not.
State?
It's not. But
Yeah.
at least you
So
get
that's
a little taste
probably the biggest atmosphere that he
for
faced,
sure.
or
For
the
sure, it
biggest.
is.
So, but yeah, I don't know. I think Riley Leonard is better than Connor Wigman. So, if anybody can kind of, if it's in a vacuum battle of the quarterbacks, nothing else, I think Riley Leonard is better than Connor Wigman. So, I do think it's going to come down um, to who makes the stops, and do I trust Marcus Freeman defense to make the stops? He is. I
Will they
think I
have
do.
will they have all the men on the field? That was a problem last
Yeah. Well, they have
year.
11 men on the field when they need to. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think I'm gonna go right now. I'm leaning towards Notre Dame, so I think I'm gonna go with Notre Dame as of today. But that could change by Saturday. But I'm gonna go with
we
Notre Dame.
we are just disagreeing this at
Yeah,
the start of
yeah,
the year. I'm gonna go with
yeah.
Texas A&M.
Well, they're so close that it's
Yeah,
it's not. They're really. I mean, you can go
it's
either
a
top.
pick 'em.
You go the way. Yeah, it's pick
It's a
'em.
pick 'em. But when it's that close, I'm gonna lean for this game at least. I'm gonna lean on the Texas A&M. I think they have a better roster right now than Notre Dame, and I think they have a better coach. And I think that is it's no respect to Marcus Freeman. I think Brian Kelly is that much better of a coach than him right now. He's still young. Things can change. So I'm gonna lean on the experience of that and the home field advantage. I think it's gonna be too much to go to College Station and try and win a week one game because Texas A&M they have a lot. It's a lot going on, a lot riding on this season. So it hurts me to say, but I'm going with the Aggies.
I think we didn't. Um, Riley Leonard played for Mike Elko,
Yeah.
so he's playing his former head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So
You think that gives them an advantage either way? I think rather who would you give that advantage to?
I I mean, who knows you better than your coach? So
Who knows
and
the coach better than the
then
starting
then then the,
quarterback?
then the starting quarterback. Yeah. So I didn't factor into that. So you know what? I'm gonna change my pick. I'm gonna go with A&M.
Nice,
I think
nice.
I think I think that dynamic changes it a little bit. I think that Mike Elko can, he saw him at practice every day. Um, I think he saw him. Yeah, I think that plays more of a factor. It might not play any factor, but I think it plays in a close game. In a game this close, I think it plays a factor. So I'm gonna change my pick to A&M.
Yeah, I just realized I said Brian Kelly earlier. I was looking at something. I was looking at Brian Kelly on my screen. That's my bad. Brian Kelly is not the coach of Texas
Of
A&M.
Texas A&M.
As
Yeah,
much as they would like that, he is. That's my bad. It's week one. Let me get back into
yeah. We dusted out
it.
the
That's the
Cowboys.
boots.
It's been a minute since we recorded a pod.
It,
Yeah.
it has. It has. All right. We come back. We're gonna do our picks for the week. See if we can win this pick'em pool. We'll be right back. All right, we are back with our pick'em. So how this is gonna work is we're gonna alternate picks. I'm gonna start this week. We have to make 7 selections with the spread. So you see the example here. We can pick Coastal Carolina plus. I could go with the under that same game, and we'll have 2 out of 7. Okay, so we can pick against any game. We started a little late Thursday, so we missed some games. Missed the Colorado game. All these games have started, so I don't think we can pick them because by the time we submit, they would have been started already. But we get 7 picks. It's gonna be a leaderboard. The it's like this is the winning percentage. In first place gets 75% of the pot. So might be able to win a little money here at the end of the year.
Yeah,
Maybe we can
yeah, we might be able to.
go get some beers. This can fund our trip to the Alamo Bowl this year. Who
Yeah.
knows? But all right. So I'm gonna start it off with a pick that I am very confident in. The team we just talked about. I'm gonna go with Texas A&M versus Notre Dame. I'm taking the under because of what I said earlier about both offenses. A lot of question marks. I think it might be a bit of a slow start, little boxing match, trying to figure out what the other team is doing. So I'm gonna go with the under that one.
That's a good choice. Yeah, we did talk about that one. About the defenses there. I'm gonna go with Georgia the under. Last time these teams played, it was a 10-3 final with Georgia winning that game. So I'm going to take the under 48 and a half. I think the offenses are going to be a little sloppy early on. So I'm going to take the under on that.
I like that. I like that. I feel like the under for a lot of these games is kind of safe,
Yeah.
except for one. And that one is on Sunday. Anytime USC is playing, Lincoln Riley is playing, you take the over and it's 63 and a half. Honestly, I would take this over if it's up to 70. So I'm pretty confident in this right here.
Yeah, they're going to score some points.
Give me the LSU USC over.
All right. Damn, I forgot my last. What was my next one?
Um,
What did I pick? We had these
Miami.
written down. Miami. That's right. I went with Miami. I think it was minus, was it three and a half?
Miami minus
Two
two
and a
and a
half. So
half.
yeah, it was Miami minus 2.5. I really think they're going to pull it out. I do think they cover. So yeah, Miami minus 2.5.
Okay. You're giving away points. I'm about to take a lot of points. It's kind of blasphemous, but I'm going to go with Colorado State plus 32 and a half against my Texas Longhorns. And let me tell you why. I kind of I know Sark, he likes the high plays, right? He doesn't want to give everything away. And they have a really big game week 2 against Michigan. And I think that this is going to be a very safe game for Texas. They're going to try and just get in, get out of there healthy, win the game. You don't need style points when you're playing in the SEC anymore because if you win the game, nobody cares. Right? They have enough tough games ahead that they don't need to blow out Colorado State. Nobody's going to knock them for it.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be a really safe game, establishing the run, not taking any real big chances. So I'll take 32 and a half, Colorado State.
Uh, I'm also going to take a, a significant amount of points and with Akron plus 50 and a half
50
with
points.
over Ohio State.
Crazy.
And the reason why any sane human being who's a head coach, they kind of just park the bus after a little bit, after a little while. So if I see this game going 35-0 or 28-0, halfway through the third quarter, shoot, it might be 28-0 in the first quarter. Um, but once you start getting this big point differentials, once the backups get in the game, you see some wacky stuff happening. Maybe Akron scores a couple of touchdowns on the third team defense of Ohio State or something. So I think beating a team by 50 and a half, unless you're Georgia in the national championship game, uh, it's kind of hard to do, even against a team like Akron. So for the for the sake of getting a win, I think or getting one of these right, I want to take that 50.5. I think that spread is a little big.
I mean, that's if I'm an Akron player and I see we're getting 50 and a half points, my only goal is to cover.
It's to
I
cover.
don't
Yeah,
care about anything else. We get in
yeah,
field goal range. We're not turning the ball over. We're kicking field goals. We're nickel and dime our way to plus 50 and a half. There's no
yeah.
way.
Don't get 50 piece in week one. Come on, man. Show some pride.
Yeah.
Have some shame.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Zips.
Yeah, one more. I said this one wasn't set in stone, and I'm an audible. I'm gonna go with Boise State minus 12 and a half. Okay, and here's why. The group of five gets an automatic bid. Now, a lot of these other teams, like I said with Texas, they don't really need style points because they play enough tough opponents. Boise State and Liberty are the two favorites on paper to get that Group of Five auto bid. Liberty's schedule is a cakewalk. Boise State, if they can get some style points, I think they might be able to sneak by Liberty, even if they have a loss somewhere along the way. These games, like versus Georgia Southern, make a statement, go out there, handle your business, and I think they will. I think they get the Group of Five bid. Spoiler alert. So I'm gonna go with Boise State minus 12 and a half.
I like it. I like it. The Akron
Uh,
pick is egregious as hell, but I like it too.
I think we're good.
Yes, sir.
I like
I
our
like our
picks
set.
this year. I
Yeah.
like our picks. So those are our 7 picks. Feel free to follow us, win some money. You know, bet responsible. This is not gambling advice. Not gambling advice. Okay.
No, we don't do that.
So we got under Georgia Clemson, Akron plus 50 and a half, still crazy. Miami minus 2.5, Colorado State plus 32 and a half, Boise State minus 12 and a half, under Texas A&M Notre Dame, and over LSU USC. Those are our 7 picks. We'll see how we do. We'll update y'all on our standings and stuff next week. Brian, it's been a pleasure, brother.
Hey, it's great to be back, man. Let's get
Great
some
to be
football
back,
plant
man.
going and flex these muscles and let's get to it.
All right, y'all. That was our week 1 preview. We'll catch y'all on the next one.